Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here. Welcome back to the channel for another update on PancakeSwap, ticker symbol Cake. So is a bounce coming? Since our last video on Cake, we came down and beautifully hit our macro price target, and we're currently sitting in pretty much the last line of support for Cake. Cake has a major decision to make right now. If it doesn't bounce very soon, we might be having a landslide to the downside. Let's talk about this. So first of all, I want to start off on our price target from the last video. We obviously talked about this macro M pattern that we did keep our eyes on, with a price target down here at $1.85. We can now remove this from our chart because we've beautifully come down and hit this. And since we have hit this, you can see we've had a little bit of consolidation to the side for the past week or so. If we do come over to our fib chart, you can see we've got a plethora of Fibonacci support down here, 1.618s, 1.236s, which we have highlighted within this green box right here. This is really why we're kind of lollygagging at this region right now. Now, if we do break beneath support at the 1.236, this is basically where we found our bear market lows in the past week or so. You can see right here, the 1.236 is at $1.76. The bear market lows are at $1.77, basically. So we almost hit that exactly on the head, and now we are chopping sideways within the support box, but we are showing major weakness right now. If we do come over to the daily time frame, I want to show you a worrying signal that's happening right now. Let's actually come over to a fresh chart and show you what I'm seeing over on the daily time frame. Right now, you can see that even though the price is consolidating and chopping sideways, the stochastic RSI is overextended. It's gone all the way from 0 to 100, and the price action has not moved whatsoever. This is a really worrying signal right now. In fact, if we look at, the last few times that the stochastic RSI has topped out at 100, you can see over here, we topped out at 100, we started to roll down, had a small dead cat bounce to a lower high, stochastic topped out at 100, and then we had a monumental landslide back down to the downside. In fact, since this most recent double top on the stock, round about 100 to 83, we bled out a 56% drop, and we are right back at the exact same level as we were with this top over here. So right now the daily time frame is definitely looking very worrying, as we are extremely overextended right now. The weekly time frame is a slightly different picture. Now you can view this in a few different ways. First of all, I do want to highlight, let's get rid of the bull market support bands. On the weekly time frame, we've been at this region a few different times. Like I said, the the stochastic RSI trends between 0 and 100, 0 and 100, 0 to 100 most of the time. And if we look back at Cake's history since its bull market top, we've been down to this 0 region quite a few times. You can see over here, we found ourselves at 0. We had a bounce. Over here, let's skip this data point for a second. Over here, we came down to 0, we had a dead cat bounce. Over here, we came down to 0, we had a dead cat bounce. Over here, we came down to 0, dead cat bounce. Now, while we did bounce in all these scenarios, I do obviously want to quickly highlight these bounces did not change anything in the macro picture. We made lower highs with every single one of these, but there was one particular data point right here. If we come over to the 29th of November 2021, we bottomed on the stochastic RSI, we turned bullish, and then we broke bearish again, and we chopped sideways for months. And what this correlated to is a massive landslide to the downside in price action while the oscillator began to reset. Now, this could potentially repeat once again. Like I said, we are seeing worrying signs right now in the lower time frames, like the daily. The daily is telling us we've got more room to come back down to the downside. The daily is saying, even though we've chopped sideways, we're overextended again, we need to break back down to the downside. And because of this, while we witness this play out on the daily, maybe for the next week or so, we may see a consolidation to the side for the next few weeks or so on the weekly time frame. And this could look very similar to what happened over here back in the 29th of November 2021, where we had a short dead cat bounce preceded by another meltdown for Cake. Now, one other way that you can view this is by taking the stochastic RSI and Cake in correlation to the total altcoin market cap. So if down below we get the total altcoin market, let's put this in like a light pinky hue. Let's now get rid of the, well, first of all, do bear in mind, once again, these vertical bars simply mean that the stochastic RSI bottom. So we no longer need the stock on the screen. If we look at what's happening with Cake and the stochastic RSI in correlation to the total altcoin market cap down below, what you can see is, when the stock bottomed for Cake, it likely bottomed for other altcoins. We saw a short bounce over on this data point. We didn't see a bounce over here. We rolled down further for another couple of weeks. Over on here, Cake saw a bounce with the stock, so did the altcoin market cap. Cake saw a prolonged bounce over on the stock, so did the total altcoin market cap. Cake saw a bounce over here on the stock, so did the altcoin market cap. But once again, what happened on this one data point is the stock bottom for Cake. That could be a signal, hey, we're ready to rally, but the altcoin market kept breaking down and it was showing major weakness. And we can tie this back to what's happening in the altcoin market right now. Is the altcoin market ready to rally? Are we ready to see a bounce in the altcoin market and then potentially a rally for Cake? Well, the altcoin market is looking pretty weak right now, and so is Bitcoin. Bitcoin just got rejected from this major support and resistance box. This was support, flipped as resistance at a lower level. So, Bitcoin right now looks like it's heading down to its 200-week moving average to retest it at 26,200, and the altcoin market, as you know, with support and resistances, the more you touch them, the weaker and weaker they get. So, for example, if your price action is on a trend line, let's say this is a trend line to the upside and you're breaking up, you hit the trend line, 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 it's getting weaker and weaker. You're likely to flip it and break bullish. Same to the downside. If you come down, find support, you come back, backtest, it gets weaker and weaker, and you're likely to flip it as resistance. What is happening right now on the total altcoin market? You can see bear market trend line, all-time highs, touch point. This was resistance. We broke above it. We came back to backtest, and we haven't had a successful backtest. A successful backtest happens when you break out, backtest and push up and make a higher high. What have we done? We've broken out, we've backtested from a lower position, backtested from a lower position, backtested from a lower position, backtesting it this week from a lower position. And while this is happening, we are falling beneath the bull market support bands. If we come over to the daily, you can see we are flipping the bull market support bands on the altcoin market cap as resistance right now. So altcoins are looking extremely weak. And if we do see the total 2 in the next few weeks start to break to the downside, this could be a sign that Cake is not yet ready to rally, and we may need to chop sideways for another couple of weeks or months before we can expect a bounce in the market. So all of this is well and good, but what does this mean for the price? Well, in my opinion, I think Cake is coming right down to this 2 extension on the Fibonacci's. This means, at least in my opinion, I think we should foresee about another 19% drop on Cake down to $1.48. If we come back over to this macro chart, on the weekly time frame, like we highlighted, we are in a big support box for Cake right now. So if we do lose $1.75, there is nowhere else for us to go apart from down to this 148, 150 region where the 2 Fibonacci extension is. And then at that point, I've looked at pretty much all of the major fibs in this market. It gets pretty ugly from down there. This fib isn't even visible. The next major Fibonacci's to the downside are going to be around about 60 cents. We, of course, are probably going to find psychological support around about the $1 region because, that is a massive psychological level. $1 would obviously be my next macro price target to the downside. I want to take things one price target at a time though. So in the immediate short term, I think Cake is showing weakness, especially when we're looking at the daily time frame. We are trending sideways, but the stock is telling us we're topping out and getting ready to roll back down. So for the next couple of weeks, I think the stock will break back down. The price action will break back down for the next few weeks. On the weekly time frame, the stock will bleed out as well and will pretty much just consolidate on this weekly time frame. And if that happens, if you see altcoins lollygag and just slowly come down, and we keep on retesting this trend line for the altcoin market cap, we're very likely to break down, lose it, and Cake could rocket through this 2 Fibonacci extension at $1.48, and it could head down to my next bear market price target all the way down at $1 for a Cake token. For today, my friends, that's all I've got. All in all, Cake is genuinely not looking too healthy right now. We are just proceeding to bleed out. Bitcoin is looking pretty unhealthy after this macro rejection, and the altcoin market is just retesting this trend line again and again and again and getting weaker with each touch point. That's all I've got for today. If you do enjoy my content, as always, let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends. If you want to further support the channel, feel free to click the join button and become a member today. Follow me over on Twitter at 618_cowboy. I'll leave it here. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.